la cifra, creo que hay que marcar dos o tres cositas que están pasando, ¿no? Está claro que el elefante en el salón es vaca muerta, ¿no? Digamos, lo que está cambiando, pensando en lo que es el mercado, en oferta, demanda, infraestructura e instituciones o regulación, es la oferta, ¿no? Se está concentrando mucho en lo que es vaca muerta. Bolivia, que producía 60 millones de metros cúbicos día y exportaba 50 a Brasil y Argentina, hoy, bueno, no tiene esos volúmenes. Y del lado argentino, que necesitaba esa importación estructuralmente, bueno, todo lo que ha sido el avance de vaca ha permitido, bueno, incluso sustituir importaciones tanto de Bolivia como de GNL y pensar en la exportación y pensar más hacia adelante, o sea, exportación regional y también internacional, ¿no? En eso están
International
los
export.
proyectos.
That's
Del lado
where
de la
the
demanda no ha
projects are.
cambiado
On the
tanto,
demand side,
realmente.
nothing has
O sea,
changed
la
greatly.
oferta
The
no,
demand,
no cambios tan grandes. Pero cuando cambia la
not
oferta y
as
cuando cambia la
large changes,
organización de la
but when
oferta,
offer and
cambia
the organization of the offer
infraestructura
changes, the
necesaria. Y
infrastructure
cuando cambia la
necessarily
infraestructura
changes. And
para
when
poder
infrastructure
financiarla, lo que se
changes to
necesita
finance
es
it,
esa
what
demanda
is
que
needing
en
is that
definitiva es
demand,
la
which
palanca y los
did
proyectos, ¿no?
definitely
Y junto con eso, algo de lo que vamos a
leverage
hablar
projects.
mucho hoy,
And that's something that
que
we will
es
talk
fuerte,
about today quite a bit.
la
It has to
regulación, las
do
instituciones,
with
los
the
precios, etcétera,
regulations and the
un montón
price
de
regulations
elementos
and
tan
many
detalles que
things that
tenemos
not are so
que trabajar
detailed
bueno, para que
or details that
efectivamente
have
estas
to be
nuevas
worked so that
oportunidades que
effectively
surgen
these new opportunities
para la integración
for
y en
integration
definitiva para...
and
Tenemos unos 1000 megas
We
de
have
generación de
around
500, 1000 megas son generación
1,000 megas
450
of hydroelectric generation,
generación eólica principalmente, y el resto son plantas térmicas.
and the rest is
Pampa además tiene, bueno, la
other
producción
kind
de
of
petróleo, que
thermal
nace justamente
thermal
como
plants.
integración del negocio de generación, ¿no? Para justamente
And it
abastecerlo
begins
o
in the
autoabastecernos.
generation business
Y a
to
partir del año 2000,
self-supply to our plants.
2021, cuando
But
nace
from
Argentina lo que se llama el Plan Gas,
2021, when we get the gas plant in
que
Argentina,
apoyó en
which is
contratos de largo plazo para que haya mayor
supported in
inversión,
long-term
y
contracts
además
for
aumento
more
de
investment
infraestructura
in Vaca Muerta
de transporte de
and
gas
an increase in
principalmente
infrastructure,
para que se pueda reemplazar todo el combustible
so we could
usado en ese
replace
momento,
all the fuel we were
principalmente
importing in the moment,
GNL,
mainly
combustibles líquidos de
GNL
generación.
and fluids
A
for
partir del ingreso
generation.
de Pampa a ese plan gas pasamos de producir 7 millones
We went from
el año
producing
pasado,
7 million,
perdón, a este invierno hemos llegado a producir
and this
17
winter we produced
un aumento
17 and a half
muy grande que
millions.
como
It's a
año y medio,
big
por ejemplo, en toda
increase.
Argentina, y además estamos ya hace varios
And we've
exportando
been
gas
for
a Chile, al mercado chileno,
many years
desde
exporting gas to
ya hace
Chile.
5 años que estamos exportando,
We've
primero
been
de forma interrumpida
importing
y los últimos
for
años
many years, 5 years,
primero firme en verano y
interrupted
ahora
in
ya
the
firme
beginning,
todo el
now
año, lo cual
steady all
es
year
un
through, not
avance
only
muy
in
grande
summer.
tanto para Chile como para nosotros
And it's
poder
a big
lograr
advance for
el
Chile
cumplimiento
and for us
de todo el año.
to
Y
have
hoy ya
a
estamos,
all year
bueno,
round
nosotros gracias a
contract.
que el gobierno
And now
está permitiendo contratos de largo plazo,
the
estamos
government is
negociando
allowing
contratos
long
de 2 a
term
3 años
contract. We are doing this
hasta el
2 to 3 year
2028 que comienza el plan
contracts
gas
until
actual.
2028 when the gas plant
Así que
ends
bueno,
in
Pampa está muy
Argentina.
comprometido
So
con
Pampa is
la
very
producción de gas.
committed
Creo que
to the
hace falta
production
decir
of
cuáles son los
gas. We
beneficios
don't
o
need to
cuáles
say
son
what are the benefits
las características que hace que el gas, porque
or the
el gas sea
characteristics that
combustible
make gas
complementario a la
the
transición hacia energías
complementary
renovables. El señor Martínez
fuel.
ya habló mucho de ese tema, así que no
The
voy
previous
a
panel
dejar también
talked
que
about
hablamos más
this, so I
adelante.
don't think we need to.
Pero bueno, sí, Pampa está muy comprometido, por un lado, sí está muy
But
comprometido en
Pampas very
crecer en la región.
committed to gas and to
Tiene
grow in the
los
regional
recursos que
area.
tenemos en Vaca Muerta son muy
And the
amplios,
resources we have in Vaca Muerta
como
are
sector,
quite
como país,
broad
para
and
buscar la
allow us
integración regional
as
para poder exportar a
producers
los países, principalmente a los países
to
vecinos, Chile, Brasil,
export
Bolivia, Uruguay también.
to neighboring
Y también
countries,
estamos comprometidos
Brazil,
con la parte
Argentina,
de
Uruguay.
integración más amplia, que es poder exportar gas dentro de
And we want to do
Pampa.
it 2008, and for 2020 carbon was off in Chile, it was completely out. because we can continue to use renewables, natural gas, and hydroelectric energy. So I think the refineries are at the same time working on this transition because we know that it's going to happen, but we need to have the certainty that we have to do something. The thing today is that our system varies so much that if we don't have carbon or diesel, that today are not a part of the population of the countries in the region and infrastructure that Cono Sur, particularly Chile and Argentina. We think it's important to use the infrastructure there's available and be used. I'm saying this because we have something that happened this year. We increased the offer of gas in the Biobío region in Chile through an investment that it was not that big gas, and we flexibilized the gas stock that was there already, but that increased the import volume to flexibilize it and to export more to Biobío, and flexibilize it and to export more to Biobío, and this way improve and competitiveness of the product in front of other products like gas oil, fuel oil. I think the first thing we need to do is to maximize the use of infrastructure. We don't need to make big investment. And Argentina is improving its infrastructure, even if the main structure will allow to increase in 20 million. The offer from the local market will revert to the gas duct from the north of Argentina. So the gas will also reach the north of Argentina from Vaca Muerta, but it will allow to export part of the volume, especially in the south, through Bolivia. That will allow us to improve observation with Argentina, with the neighbors. And on the other hand, we will work on a regulation. The government is working with the gas market and electric market, and this will allow to improve the offer with mid and long-term contracts. Recently, the government provided the second permit to exports of gas from Southern Energy. That's a project, but also it's allowing to create contracts to export to Chile, which improves offer and competitiveness of the onshore.
Thank you very much. And we continue with the challenges, the current and contractual regulatory challenge. How can gas producers work together to adapt to operational necessities of a variable system of renewable systems, of how they of how they high core pay restrict flexibility of hiring natural gas. And well, do you anticipate that of that? And I don't know if my colleagues from the gas industry will agree or not, but I need to follow on. I know you have to have volume. The molecule has to flow, but the reality is that these systems, which are variable either daily due to solar and wind power or seasonal, where we have water, naturally force us to be a bit more creative. And I thought volume, stranger, seeing what's happening. But here we considered a path, and we continue. Communities won't let you produce with it if there's no environmental point of view or transformative point of view. We often and daily, and I see this. I have come from Rio recently, where the great refiners of Latin America are at, and they're all at the same with artificial intelligence. How do we involve more technology, but not only to maximize, but also to compete with a subject that we know? Transition, just like it happened with coal to natural gas, with the renewables, which tomorrow maybe due to natural gas, it's all working and involving innovation and technology. So today, this is work that has to be done with workers and unionized world. Workers have to be involved because today, this is to come. This, what we call the right to be able to continue to produce and work. So I think this is a great issue that I share with you, that it isn't a large sum, it isn't a small sum. To produce and to gain, communities do not accept it. In Chile, it's a subject where the idea, no one is only trying to invest in refineries. Today, it's the people capability and technology will give, and people will manage it. Here, where we will have energy transition, environmental, that have to compensate these other costs which weren't there before. Companies could contaminate in the past, and still it happens in Latin America, where companies come, where they talk of giving the example in Chile, where Chile is one of the best companies in Latin America regarding decontamination, set an example compared to Brazil or in Argentina and Colombia, but countries which today still have contamination. This is work that still has to be done, and these panels help greatly. Here, we aren't to discover the wheel, it's been discovered, but it's to see the different elements that we have today for hydrocarbons management. We'll talk about innovation once more. In our case, innovation goes in hand with Vaca Muerta's authorities in the oil production and the efficiency of exploitation of the wells is work strongly. All the products are being produced, and it's important to train. One of the bottlenecks seen at Vaca Muerta through growth of producing crude oil and gas is specifically the human resource. And this comes in hand of improving training to reach more and more people, so that to be able to eliminate that bottleneck, and specifically and in general. Celia, some words. Instead of taking more time, I wanted to show something that is quite creative, and it will take 2 minutes. So if you can allow me at the end or whenever you say. Yes, now I wish to share something. The team that I lead, electrical systems, we model long-term capacity expansion projects. We do it very granularly, and talking with one of the colleagues that work with me, I've mentioned that this plant in El Salvador, which is almost 400 megawatts, is a LNG plant, a very flexible plant of Waxila, located in El Salvador. Years of operating it, we've built it, we've operated it, and we have data of 5 minutes at 5-minute resolution for 3 is a little bit the role of gas at El Salvador. El Salvador imported its electricity starting from this plant. El Salvador has become not, it has dropped its carbon, it has dropped its possibility of depending solely on liquid fuels. It has integrated the renewables during the dry seasons and during the wet seasons. They can balance the system of the plant. And in the plant, not only do we have the system of a system